Welcome to the Champion Circle. Once again, my name is Mark Soto. I'm the Executive Director of LIGA Foundation. And it is an honor and privilege to be here to showcase and highlight amazing individuals from the community that are making a difference and that are truly inspirational. My support group is obviously Liga de Justicia Foundation, but we want to thank Liga de Justicia Abogados for supporting this podcast, and Conexcion Latina and the Champion Circle LI on our YouTube channel. We thank all of our viewers. We thank everyone that supports us, that recommends speakers and wishes to tell their story with us. We are truly inspired and motivated by everything that's going on. All of us together can make a difference and make this world a better place. So we thank you for your likes, your views, your shares, and we ask you to subscribe and make sure that we tell the stories of the great individuals that come before us every day and every week when we publish our podcast. So once again, another amazing individual, another person that I consider a friend, not just a colleague, not just an associate in being an activist, but someone who inspires me, who motivates me to be a better person, someone whose energy I love, and I love his spirit, none other than Ricardo Rodriguez. Thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you for the invitation. This is such an honor to be here in your presence in this Champion Circle. It feels like big shoes to fill, Champion Circle.
Well, you deserve the credit that we're going to give you today. We want you to tell your story so that you can inspire so many of the viewers that come before us to listen to the stories that everyone has to tell. So as always, we always like to start in the beginning. And I'll call you Ricky. Ricky, when we talk about people, we like to hear about their backgrounds, their roots, their beginnings, their ancestry, and a little bit about perhaps even their parents, where their parents are from, and things like that. So let's go back to the beginning. Talk to me about where you were born, where your parents are from, what your childhood was like.
Well, my story started in Brooklyn. My mom came from Colombia, Medellin, and she was working in the city. She ran into a Puerto Rican, which was my dad, Jose Rodriguez. And my dad used to dress very well, suits, bell-bottom pants, like it was stylish.
Right. So
love story happened. I have an older brother who's 4 years older than me. Then I came around, born in Kings County Hospital in Brooklyn. We decided to come to Long Island, specifically Central Islip first. My father bought a house there with his parents, which are my grandparents, and my father's Puerto Rican. And that part of my life, Puerto Rican side, was the biggest part because my dad was here. My grandparents, both grandparents, grandma and grandpa from Puerto Rico side, my mom was by herself. So I was infused deeply with a lot of Puerto Rican traits and things and customs. So we stayed in Central Islip for like a year, and then my mom was like, all right, we're not separating from your parents, then we're going on our own. So she took us and she separated from my dad at an early age, and she took me into Brentwood, which was East Brentwood, which plays a big part now in my later on in life, because I know so many people there from the fire department, and we create stories together. It's those heroes that live amongst us, right, that we grow up with, and then they become our friends and colleagues later on in life. But yeah, from the Puerto Rican side, it was Central Islip. We had the chickens, the ducks, the goats. The goats were funny because my grandpa thought it was fine. Right. But town of Islip, they were like, right, you need a permit for those goats. We had about 13 cars in the driveway. Well, a driveway, it was a yard because everybody was a backyard mechanic. Those good old fashioned Puerto Rican mechanics, right? Yep. We all have one of them.
Absolutely.
And none of them worked. The cars never worked. They were never fixed. We had 2 boats. None of them were on the water. 3-car garage, which there was no cars in there. There was a lot of stuff in there. Definitely no cars. And, my father was a hunter. I didn't do that because I was younger. My brother was able to partake in hunting, fishing, all that stuff. My father passed at an early age due to diabetes, which that's another thing that plays a part in today's world because a lot of people are challenged with that manageable disease. But yeah, that's kind of where I began cultivating the Spanish culture within, mostly Puerto Rican in the early age, because again, my mom was by herself. My mom did what she can at home, making the arepas and the frijoles and all that good stuff on the Colombian side. But yeah.
What type of parents were your mother and your father? Like, tell me a little bit about them, how they filled their roles as father and mother.
So they never got divorced. They always kept the legal status of separation because they didn't want to introduce more people to their kids. My mom was very strict at that. My mom never even dated after that. She just stayed a single mom working 2 jobs, and basically a phone mom. She would call up and say, "Hey, inside the microwave, there's lunch, there's dinner. I'll call you on my next break." So it was that constant raising, making sure that we had what we needed while still being in our lives through a phone. And the phones were attached to the wall, so there weren't no cell phones.
Right.
So we had to be home to get that phone call. As far as my dad was very heavy-handed in the sense of, this is what we need, this is what we're going to do, and this is how we're going to do it. So they were very both strict, being that he was in Central Islip, my mom was in Brentwood. I would take my bike, drive to Central Islip, stay there because more of my cousins were there, and it was more that family situation. And that's how they raised us. It was 2 households, one with all the holidays, the Puerto Rican holidays. Cousins would sleep over during Christmas. You could walk over people, how that happened back in the day, where you used to have so many people at your house, you would sleep on the floor.
Right.
So those are the fond memories I have. And when you get all your Puerto Rican cousins together, creativity. Back then, we didn't have the cell phones, so we would create our own shows and our own photography things because, everybody had a camera, one of those 110 cameras, and we had a mantle for the fireplace. We would perform on top of that mantle as you create your own shows. So that, again, led to who I am today, being comfortable in front of cameras, comfortable talking to people, because we would put shows on, sell tickets to the family. Hey, look, we got a show in 5 minutes.
Right.
So all that wonderful family life kind of brings me to who I am today, which is very much part of the community.
And tell me a little bit about Central Islip and Brentwood at that time, because I know that a lot of Puerto Ricans migrated out to Long Island in the 60s, 70s, etc., right? But tell me a little bit about the makeup of the schools and the community as far as that's concerned.
So in Central Islip, the running situation was, if you were outside when the street lamps went out, look out because you're in trouble. It was very rough. It was by Carlton Park, which is now College Woods, because they had knocked that down in the 90s. And but yeah, it was a little rough back then. We made do with what we had. And I went through the whole Brentwood school district. So that's why I was in East Brentwood. I lived off of Fulton, on the corner of Evergreen and Fulton, for those who know. And Northeast Elementary, East Junior High, when it's a junior high, because now it's a middle school, right? And then Ross High School. And I did some Suffolk Community College for photography and things like that. So I stayed within the Brentwood School District. And back then it was a little different, because while today is a different world, it was a different world back then. I knew I was a little different. So going to school in elementary school, I knew I was different than the most. So I always try to put on that acting role that I was the same, but I wasn't. And that's kind of where everything led up to creating and developing my personality, because I had to survive by being the funny one, by having jokes all the time and diverting the drama using jokes.
That's powerful. I think that's pretty interesting to know that you recognized at an early age that there was something about you that was different from the so-called societal norm. And in order to cope, you used humor, and you used this amazing light and personality that you have, this energy that's so beautiful and so engaging. And one of the reasons why from the moment I met you, I was like, man, this guy is amazing, right? I want to get to know him. I want to be his friend. So talk to me about your school journey and how you did academically, and how you balanced your culture as well as the knowledge that there was something different.
So in Northeast Elementary, I gravitated to the arts programs. Anything that had to do with arts to get me away from anything too challenging in the sense of like history or math or anything like that, because I really like the arts. So I was in the chess club. I was in the art club. I was in the astronomy club in Northeast Elementary School when funds were there for those type of programs, right? And it was fun because it gave us something to, even Connect Four, there was a club for Connect Four, and that was a good time.
No way,
yeah,
really?
Connect Four, it was great. So we had good times back then, painting murals in the lunchroom. I was commissioned to do an olive. It was just one of those things that keeps you busy and not thinking of what people are thinking about you, because you're so concentrated on making this happen.
Right.
Having another developmental goal. I'm going to be an artist. I'm going to be a chess player. I'm going to be this. But as far as when it came to academically, I was always on the honor roll, but it was never high honor roll. I was always coasting. I was like, I'm not going to be the best because I see the people getting bullied that are the best. And I'm not going to be the worst because I see the people getting bullied being the worst. So I was just fly right above the radar just a little bit. Just there so that I made it. I was artist of the week a lot because I always thought outside the box. But again, there was always that thing in the back of my mind, like, why am I having these thoughts and feelings about certain people that I shouldn't, but I don't know how to put it because I was too young to know what they were. For example, at that time, there was a gym teacher that I was like, kind of handsome, right? I was like, all right, kept it quiet. Then, there was a gentleman in school. I was like, a classmate. I'm like, interesting, but I kept it quiet because obviously it wasn't what people were talking about. So little things like that. I always had that fake crush on somebody. I always had that. Today they call them a beard, like that fake thing to cover who you really are, that mask.
Correct.
And the funny story was, my mom used to see that I used to draw clowns a lot. She's like, why are you drawing clowns? The only people who draw clowns are people who are hiding something, because the clowns put a mask over themselves.
Really?
My mom always had like an extra
That's very profound.
Oh, yeah. She laid it on me quick. She's like, what are you hiding?
Interesting.
She always had that extra sense of ability to know what was going on in my life, what's going on. And old school Colombian, she no doubt about it. But she knew we were good kids because that fear that we had for our adults is what's lost today, right? We used to fear our parents.
Yeah.
My mom was like, don't do anything and let me find out about it because it'd be a problem.
Yes.
So whenever I did something remotely bad, like whether it was steal a piece of candy, I was like, oh, she's going to find out.
Yeah.
But that kept me very straight and narrow in the sense of being a good kid per se.
Right.
You know, then it came down to now after elementary school, come East Junior High, where, whoa, these boys are getting older and they got mustaches and they're playing sports and they got hairy legs and what's going on? What am I doing? I'm not looking at a female. I'm looking at the men. I'm like, there's something wrong. And I can't put my finger on it. I kind of idea, but back then it was not something that was discussed. There was no support.
Yeah, unfortunately.
There was no, how can I say this? There's no, people are so used to what they're used to that when something else comes and being introduced, oh no, it can't be that way. Right. It just can't. It's not the way I believe. So therefore it doesn't exist. So, I was outed by, during a film strip. When all the kids used to love when film strips would happen. You knew when that machine would roll in on the card and the VHS was there. We're like, yes, we're going to have a nice time, lights out. I wound up playing with somebody's back with a pencil. And when the lights turned on, I had a whole audience behind me and that was it. So the rumors started flying since then. So then my humor got more wittier. My outfits got more outlandish so that people would just, oh, wait, he's a little crazy. What is he wearing? Right. I used to wear my dad's hunting jacket. It was a neon orange hunting jacket, massive in size.
Right. Sure.
So those are things to deflect, right? Never thought of harming anybody. Never thought of even harming myself at that point. Right. There was later on, as I got later in junior high, it was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't be here. And that was something where I was like, that's a little deep. While being raised in a Pentecostal household, because my mom was very Pentecostal, she was Christian. Ebenezer Christian Church. We used to go there, the Royal Rangers back then. So while I had the guidance of mom, dad, grandparents, and church, I still had my own thoughts. As I progressed, and that's how I was like, okay, so I know I'm not in the wrong. I'm not. It's just that I'm different. That's
Right.
So you have to accept that for what it was.
So were you able at least on the home front to be able to get support and love and feel like, you had compassion and everything you needed? Because there was a lot of homophobia, and in our cultures, right? Unfortunately, there's a lot of machismo and all of that. So
Unfortunately, no. When I came out, I was dating somebody at the time, and I had broken up with them, and I was in my bed with the covers over my head crying. My mom was wrong. Like, you could tell me anything. I'm your mom. And at that moment, when you're at your lowest and you have all these feelings, you're like, oh, wow, she's throwing a lifeline out. Let me grab it. So I tell her that I just broke up with my boyfriend. She released me because she was holding me. She released me. And she just walked away. So I said, oh, what happened to that lifeline? So I thought it was over. I'm like, okay, fine. Like, she just walked away. Okay, fine. Another day, let me go to sleep. I'm good. I wake up the next day and she didn't go to work. And this is a mom that perfect attendance all the time. So when I saw that she didn't go to work, I'm like, oh, this is deep. This is really deep. Bible was out. Words of God was spit at me. And I was like, oh, this is pretty heavy. And at that time, I didn't have any support or anything that I could go back with and tell her, hey, look, this is what it is. I had nothing. So at that point, I said, oh, this is crazy. Because now she's throwing the words of, you're going to die of AIDS.
Right.
You're going to find some place to live because you're going to be kicked out. And go get yourself tested immediately. And testing back then for HIV was a challenge. You would go find someplace that would do it.
Right.
And it was someplace really far. And it would take forever to get the results back. It's not like now there's a 1-minute test and a 60-minute test, 2-minute test. No, it was 2 weeks. And those were the longest 2 weeks of your life.
Yeah.
So at that time, my mom was definitely not into it. And she didn't even tell my father anything. She's like, I'm not telling nothing. That's your job to tell him, if anything. But my dad, again, was ailing a little bit as I got older, and I didn't want to tell him anything to make it worse on him, right? But he saw that I didn't bring any girlfriends. He didn't have any of that, but we kept it quiet. It was an unspoken thing at the household. The support I did have was out of my area was Brooklyn. On the summers, I used to go back to Brooklyn to my cousin's house because they all were there, and I would stay for 2 months, and that would be my breathing area. Like, I would go out to see people from the block, similar to me, from the LGBT community. And it was nice. I found community.
Right.
Where I didn't have here.
Right.
When I came back from Brooklyn, from the summers, it was nice because now I felt a little more empowered because I learned and heard other people's stories. And then I started finding groups around here. And I went to a group in Bayshore. Currently, it's funny because it's in the building where Pride Embroidery is.
No way.
That used to be the LGBT center that's currently in Bayshore and in Hauppauge,
Right.
Ernesto.
Yep.
And that whole center there, they started in Bayshore. I remember going up the stairs, and the stairs were like Brooklyn stairs in that building. They would creak. It was familiar. It was a familiar feel. Like, I felt safe, right?
Right.
So I go up, and they were having pizza. I'm like, oh, there's more people like me here. This is kind of nice.
Right.
So I came back with that information, all powered and puffy, to my mom. Like, hey, look, maybe we should go talk to these people. So I'm not talking to nobody. I'm embarrassed. There's no way I'm talking to nobody. No. She went from calling my name Ricky to Ricardo. She was like, I don't know Ricky. It's Ricardo, I know. So all those things growing up, I'm like, I got to learn something. I got to do something because I know there's more people like me going through very similar situations. And as the years progressed, you do see that. But unfortunately, some people take their own lives and just can't do it.
Correct.
They just can't take the pressure. And growing up and seeing that, like, wow, this is kind of like for real. And what can I do? I'm not powerful.
Right.
I don't know how to change somebody's mind, but it doesn't take much. If you know somebody who has a situation, be that person, be that ear, because that's all it takes. The statistics are, if you are an adult and you find youth that's gay and you're okay talking to them in an adult level, they're less likely to commit suicide because they found somebody. And again, the adage, all heroes don't wear capes and the heroes live amongst us, right? They're not in the comic books. They're people, they're somebody else's father,
Right.
somebody else's mother. I basically would live somewhere else because my mom would work so much. I would go to my friend's house, best friend's house at that time, a girl, and we just hang out all the time. Very different than her though. She was very different. She was more of the quick. She would like to drink. And I was nothing like that. Again, the heavy hand of the mom kind of taught you a good foundation. But when it came down to the LGBT thing, there was no support. There was no guidance. I had one aunt that had an idea at the time, but that aunt later on in life turned into something else that she used everything she knew against me. So then there's that, thought I had somebody, but now you don't.
Right.
But I grew up knowing that you have yourself and your chosen family.
Right. Right. And that's what this podcast is all about. So you showed courage and tenacity and resilience at a very young age, considering that in many ways you were alone, right? And I think that's one of the biggest points of anyone dealing with depression, anxiety, is when you feel alone, when you don't feel like there are others like you in similar situations under similar circumstances, you tend to kind of retreat. You tend to get into, bad spirit and just, depression. And so you were able, which is very commendable for you, to overcome the challenges in spite of the fact that you didn't have the support that you needed. So looking back now as an adult, as a person who's very confident in who you are and what you stand for and what you represent, and that's one of the greatest things about you, is your self-confidence and your willingness to say, hey, this is who I am, accept me or not, but I'm okay with either, right? Tell me, how did you deal with the mental and emotional health, during that kind of coming out period?
Well, back then it was not considered mental health. It was not considered, it was never spoke about so much. It was just, it's just a thing. It's a phase. It's a that. So we didn't have the terminology that they have now. Because right now there's layers of mental health that you would be categorized quickly, but back then it wasn't noted. So in my head, that whole thing using humor, using art, using music is huge. Therapy, it's incredible. Mm-hmm. I remember I had this boombox with two tape decks, 8-track, and I'm playing Flashdance on my stoop with a towel in the street,
right,
while my mom's screaming. I'm like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm dancing."
Right.
Like this is my escape.
What a feeling.
Right. Oh, I was out. So, and it's crazy because while I was growing up, it was like I would try to find in other people what I was feeling, but a lot of people were like, "Oh no, I'm not down like that." There was a few that were like, "Okay," but they were closeted. Mm-hmm. They would never come. Mm-hmm. Why? It was just not going to happen.
Yeah.
But those are their own stories.
Right.
My story to tell is I had to make it work through humor, through dance, through music. I wish I could have sang because I would have had like records every day singing. Mm-hmm. But I tell people, find an outlet, right? Draw, dance, sing, play an instrument, learn an instrument, because that will get your mind really quickly off whatever the negative is. Mm-hmm. Or right now in today's world, everybody has a cell phone. They could do their own little story, podcast, whatever it is. This is an outlet to be able to tell a story. Everybody has a story, and there is always going to be somebody who's going to hear it because either they know somebody or they're that somebody that needs the help.
Right.
And it's, I remember when I came out and I was Suffolk Community College, I go into the counselor's office. In my head, a counselor was somebody that was going to
support, right.
Sit me on a couch, give me some tissues, lay me back and let me talk.
Right.
No, I found out quickly that a counselor is just to counsel you on your credits and where you should be next. Right. Nothing to do with household. Mm. But I had told, and as soon as I got into that room in Suffolk Community College, I said, listen, my mom wants to kill me. She told me if she bring me into this world, she can take me out of this world. She goes, be careful when you sleep. She would tell me these things. So going to school, college, working, and then dealing with that, it was a lot.
Right.
It got so bad when I moved out that I worked 3 jobs, didn't sleep. I landed the worst pneumonia a young adult could have. I think it was like 18 or maybe younger. The doctor sat me down. Like I was behind double doors because they didn't know what it was as a young adult. And that was another learning experience because you know who's there for you at that point when you're at your lowest, when you're sick, and when you're barely being able to open your eyes. I had family that would talk about me. Oh, yeah, he's got AIDS. They don't know.
Right.
They have no idea.
Right.
They don't know my test result. They don't know nothing about me about that. I had one person later on in life tell me that he was the one that said, shut them all up. He was my godfather. And he stood up. He's like, I don't care. That's my nephew. You're not going to talk about him like that. It's not going to happen. But these are things I heard later on. I wish I would have heard that when I was younger.
Right. It would have helped you in your journey. Sure.
Seriously. But he told me later on, and my mom, she came in, dropped off a flower and said, I told you so, and left. So those things, while hallucinating, seeing my dead grandparents under all this fever, you know, one would think that, damn, maybe they were right.
Right.
Maybe they were.
So you didn't have the support in high school because back then, you know, that was, of course, something not to be talked about or supported. You didn't even get it in secondary, you know, in your college career. So you started finding, I guess, support mechanisms and support groups along the way. But how were you able to, like, did your dad ever find out before he passed? And how were you able to finally come full circle with your mom? And what happened with that?
Okay. So I never told my father because my father, through the illness of diabetes, he was having his own challenges.
Right.
From an amputation of a toe.
Right.
Then his leg. So I didn't want to put more burden on him.
Sure.
But I was there to support him in his journey of his illness. I would go to him, take care of things that needed to be done in the house. While there was a lot of people in the Puerto Rican household, it was a lot. We used to be a big family. And we would all do our thing, do our share, right, to help out. So I never told him. There was a moment that it was, I remember real clearly, like he was on the bed, I'm talking to him, and I was like, this is the moment. Like, I feel like this could be the moment because he's talking to me about my mom back in the day, like telling me things that he knows his life is not going to be all there for me later on. He showed me the wedding pictures, how my mom cut herself out of the wedding pictures. So I always saw my mom's version. I never seen his version, right? So now I got both. I'm like, oh, she has her pictures. He has his. Now I could put them together. Like I could see how that wedding party was. So then something came over me. I said, you know what? No, I can't do it. I'm not going to say it. It won't change a thing. Won't change a thing. If anything, it may worsen the situation. So I had to be, again, that one thinking ahead of everything else. Like, oh no, this is not going to be good. Let me just be quiet and just make it happen. As far as my mother, my mom never came around to it. She would take my pictures. As an early age, I was taking photos. I'm a photographer since Emmy Super Pentax, the 110 camera. So she would take the pictures I would take because they're artsy fartsy and write Bible verses on the back of them. So she never accepted it. I never wanted her to accept it. I wanted her to be tolerant and respectful of it. Just because I'm not the same doesn't mean I'm different in a sense. So she never did. So later, it's funny because I wanted to find somebody in my life as either a boyfriend or somebody companion that had something in common with my mother. Right? So maybe they could have a conversation. Maybe through somebody else's words, it would resonate. So one time in a place that I found my chosen family, there was a place in Hauppauge. It was an adult bookstore, right? It was $2 to get in. And on one side, it was merchandise, whether you buy Pride gear, magazines, jewelry, underwear, whatever it was one side. The other side was on the more raunchier side, right? Videos you could buy, watch, whatever. I walk in and my friend that works there was like, hey, there's a Colombian guy back there. I'm like, shut up. This is my chance. Like, this has to happen.
This is the connection.
This is it. So I go there and I see him like, oh shoot. I liked dragons at the time. I was a big dragon fan, but he was wearing pants with a dragon on it. He was wearing sandals. I'm like, oh, sandals, yes. So, and I think that it was a connect. It was like, it had to be there. I'm like, all right. So we spoke, we exchanged numbers, and we went out to eat once in a while. And he was 11 years older than me. And he was like, oh, I don't know. Because it was during July and I celebrate my birthday all month. And he was a worker, like hard worker, like from morning to night, he would work. So I was a partier from morning to night. So it was two different people coming together. And it was interesting because it was from the same city, from Colombia. I'm like, this is good.
Right.
They're going to have something to talk about.
Right.
So we cultivated a bit of the relationship there. And then he tried to break it off because he's like, this isn't going to work. 11 years of difference. You party, I work. It's not going to work. But we fought through, and 24 years later, we're still together. Right? And 2 years married. So during that time, we were going on vacations with my mother together. And my mom always thought I rented a room in his house. So she never quite accepted it.
Right.
But the tolerating a little bit, being able to have that conversation and the fear of talking to somebody in English. She didn't want to talk to somebody in English. So now you have somebody she could talk to.
Sure, with the same accent.
With the same accent. Comfortable level.
Right.
So she was okay. She never admitted it. She never acknowledged that we were together. But we were able to share, which is what I wanted. We shared a lot of wonderful memories with my mom on vacations. And we took her to Colombia for my first trip to Colombia. And she didn't go back after 32 years. So she went with me and him. And it was just so...
Yeah.
It was nice. It was a moment.
Right.
It was a moment.
It had to be very emotional for her and you.
Yeah. I wanted for her more than anything, because 32 years without seeing your sister, your brother, your nieces, it's a lot. You come to this country, as many do, by yourself. Right. And you strive. Whether you rent a room, then you start doing your own thing, and... Sometimes things doesn't go your way, but it worked out and we were able to travel. I was able to help her and we made it work. And it was so nice to see her with her family and me with my partner. Maybe it wasn't said, but you could see. Yeah. You could see there's a connection for sure.
Right. That's beautiful. And I mean, as a couple, you guys are very complimentary of each other. And when I say complimentary, I mean, you kind of like, you're his yin to your yang and vice versa, right? So he tends to be a little more introverted. You tend to be a little more extroverted, but his spirit is very kind. You're a very kind person. So you complement each other very well.
What's fascinating is when he's with his people, he's that funny, outgoing one.
Oh, okay.
When I'm with his people, I'm like, I let him have his shine.
Right.
Right. And when I'm with my people, he let me have my shine. Right. So we definitely do that balance.
Right.
And one story that he likes to tell people is, that I added that little bit of fun that he was lacking. Because coming to this country with nothing, again, he came from Colombia, not knowing anybody, not knowing the language, you don't have fun. Your mind is work. And then here comes this little Latin Spitfire, Puerto Rican, Colombian kid to turn your world around and give you that spark of like, oh, wait, life is more. Life is more. And I think people today need to understand that life is more. Right. Work. Okay, you work. Great. But take an hour, go to the beach, walk on the beach. When's the last time you walked on the beach in Long Island with no shoes on? Right. Nobody does. Yeah. And it's right up the block.
Right. We all need to ground ourselves on a daily basis.
Correct. Yeah. And again, people keep doing the same routine and expecting different results. And we know that's insanity. Right. Doesn't work that way.
What I like about your relationship, and because I observe all relationships around me that I admire, and yours is one of those, is how you accept each other for who you are. You don't try to change each other, and you celebrate each other, and that's a beautiful thing. So when we talk about your adulthood and the many hats that you wear, talk to me about the various roles that you've taken on, the different things that you've become passionate about, and the various skill levels that you have, and all the various things that you do.
So once you get to a point where you could say, okay, the bills are getting paid, I have all this talent, what can I do to make a difference in whether it's one person's life or many, right? You try to help out where you can. Along came a moment when Hurricane Maria came, right? And I'm like, wow, that's big. That's huge. I'm on Facebook. I'm always on social media. And I saw one of my friends from school collecting water and starting something. I'm like, oh, she's military. Her name is Amy. And I think she's involved. It's got to be good. Because I don't want to involve myself with somebody who's doing it for the wrong reasons.
Right.
So light recognizes light.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, this is good. Let me reach out. She's like, no, come down. We need help. I said, fine, I'm in. So collaborations. I'm very think outside the box. I'm that one that has different skills, as you mentioned. I have graphic art skills. I'm a photographer, social media. So I could push things out there to make some noise. At the same time, trying to get people together. Because unfortunately, we lost that togetherness. Like,
Right.
Where's that compassion?
Right.
We don't have it. So if people see your passion, maybe it can rub off on other people.
Correct.
So Hurricane Maria was my biggest achievement in the sense of let's help by collecting pallets of water. And it worked out so beautifully that today I'm still part of the organization, part of the board. And I went down for the earthquakes, saw the impact that we have as a group.
Mm-hmm.
Because honestly, as a group, you could make a difference.
Yes.
As a single person, you make a difference. But as a group, it's louder.
Correct.
So yeah, that's what we've been doing. And I adopted a mascot that I've been wearing as Miss Piggy, just to bring more light to our organization. So people are like, hey, it's Miss Piggy. Oh, Jibarito with troops. Oh, this is great. Like it's kind of brings more eyes on us.
Tell us about the Miss Piggy kind of birth and generation, the development of.
So Halloween in the Puerto Rican side household was very big. My mom never loved Halloween because again, Pentecostal, right? So here we are. I love Halloween. I dress up every year when I was a kid. This is what I do. And I try to outdo myself every year. One time when I had enough money, I bought a costume that was $500 latex, about 13 to 15 pounds on my head. And it was great. Scaring people, making money for Halloween contests. Perfect. $500 here, $500 there, $300 here, blah, blah, blah. I was making money. Come 9/11, after I tried to use the scary latex mask, nobody wanted to be scared. I was not winning contests. Nobody wanted to know anything about me. So I said, shoot, we got to pivot. This is not working anymore. So I go to a store that was in Hauppauge. It was called Taylor Rental. And I'm looking at everything. I'm like, wow, what can bring joy? And I see at the top this Miss Piggy head. I'm like, look at those cheeks. And right next to Miss Piggy, there was a Kermit.
Kermit, of course.
My man was like, I am not doing Kermit. I said, well, then I'm just going to have to do Piggy on my own.
Right.
Kermit can stay home because I feel like she's got something going on.
Right.
And the fact that I had dance background, because growing up, again, it was one of those things where I love dance. I met my choreographer back when I was going to a club called Crystals in Huntington. And that was a good time. Again, you look for escapes. You look for places to community. Right. That's it. Right. People are like-minded. Right. They like to dance. They like Spanish music. I love Spanish music. And, Puerto Rican households, Christmases and all those holidays, no faltaba. You had that Spanish music. So Miss Piggy was there. I said, I could bring her to life. And then it started developing since then, all these years. And today, if you looked at the Puerto Rican Day Parade in Manhattan, she was all over the news.
Yeah, it's a phenomenal.
All over the news.
And I love taking pictures with Miss Piggy. So I try to post them whenever I can. So I know that you're involved with Jibaritos with Troops. You obviously have your real estate license.
I do.
You do drones. Do you have a drone certification? You do photography. You do videography. Talk to us about all the various hats.
So I started doing graphic arts first. I said, you know what? I'm going to be a graphic artist, make all that money, blah, blah. Come to realize Long Island graphic arts is not that much money. You have to move to the city. And I wasn't planning to move to the city. So I said, what am I going to do? Stick to my photography. Photography was bringing me money. I took classes on photography. I self-development, learned on YouTube. And that's another thing I tell people, hey, YouTube is a class. You want to learn something? Every day, learn something on YouTube. Right. And that's how I self-taught a lot with the photography. From there, I have my drone. I have a license. I don't like the drone situation too much because a lot of people have come at me that it's an invasion of privacy. And I don't want to bother nobody.
Yeah.
I leave that alone right now. Drones are not as
Especially in this environment that we're in, right?
Again, everybody's scared.
Right.
Who's spying on me?
Right.
I have my license for over 17 years for real estate, so I kept that going. I'm a salesperson. So I try to keep myself extremely busy. And I help out the organization that I danced with for 4 years. Again, community. You go back and help the people that helped you become who you are. In Spanish Harlem, when I met Violeta Galagarza, she was dancing for a freestyle artist that I loved, Coro, in Huntington, in the Huntington Quadrangle basement, Crystals. That club was the spot. It's one of those places where John Googie Rivera would be the promoter, and it was just really a moment. And a lot of freestyle artists would perform there. And she was dancing. I'm like, whoa, she is short and she got a big butt. I'm short, I got a big butt. I could do this. I could do this.
There you go.
So I still had the Puerto Rican de Praise. She gave me a card.
Right.
I said, I'm going to call, but damn, she's in Spanish Harlem. I'm in Long Island.
Right.
That travel was beastly.
Not easy.
But I did it for 4 years. And I developed a lot of connections. And things started going up. Gas, tolls. I said, I can't do this no more, Violet. Sorry. Crossroads. I'm adulting. Got to stay on Long Island. But I'm still there. I do their graphics at times. I do photography for them at times. Right. So it's just paying back.
Yeah,
just
sure.
Be grateful.
Awesome.
We have to be grateful for who really is part of that building block of who I am today.
So tell my audience how they can find you in social media, and talk to us about anything that you're involved in right now that you'd like to bring some attention to.
So the first thing is, if you want to find me on TikTok, it's Ricardo Rodriguez 070. That's where it's just fun time. It's let myself down. You can see me dance. You can see me lip sync to the freestyle music. Sometimes I put some things that are important that need to be shared. While I may not have a huge following, but if you touch one or two people's lives, that's just change somebody's life. That's all you need. Correct. And I'm a firm believer. I don't know where I heard this from, but it stuck with me, where everybody is in charge of bringing their own piece of sand, right? You cultivate that little sand, you polish it up, and everybody come bring it together. If everybody did that nice, beautiful sand, the beach that we all could celebrate on is huge.
Right.
So we have to be in charge of that. Like, let's bring something to the table that's positive and beautiful, right? Because again, we're in a moment, turmoil. We're turning back the hands of time,
right.
Liberties. It's like people just don't understand because we not like them. We have to step forward and be a voice and do it without violence. Keep as much peace as possible, because that speaks volumes. Because if you combat violence with violence, it gets nowhere.
Right.
Nowhere.
Total destruction.
Absolutely. Chaos. It's chaos. They'll never listen to you because their egos get too big. So keep it light. Always keep a good smile on your face. And honestly, I heard something that was interesting. And again, I always listen to stuff on TV and stuff. When you give somebody a hug, don't let go until they let go.
Right.
That's kind of fascinating.
Yeah.
Like, wow, they need it. Right. And they're going to hold on to as much they need. Right. And energy shared.
Absolutely.
So as far as that, it's Instagram is Ricardo Rodriguez Photography. So you can see some of my work there. It's a hobby turned business kind of thing. So, and I'm a sucker for photography. I love it. I really do.
Yeah. It captures a moment.
Oh, that never happens again.
And they say a picture is worth 1,000 words, right? If
Absolutely.
not more. So it and your talent, it comes through. I mean, you create magical kind of memories, and that's a beautiful thing. As far as your real estate, I see that you're still passionate about that, right?
So I've been doing it for 17 years, trying to help families get to where they need to be, right? Because education is important. How to buy a house? What do I need? And why do I need a house? You know, we all know rent is very expensive right now, and it's just almost close to what a mortgage is. So, you educate them. If they could do it, let's move forward. If not, then I'm not going to make you force do something. I'm at Millennium Homes for over 15 years now. That's located in Bayshore. So just Google Millennium Homes, Ricardo Rodriguez, and you can find me there and talk, have a conversation. I could answer a lot of questions. If I don't have the answer, I like to be the source for the resource, like where you need to go, like find people where they need to go.
So moving forward, if I were interviewing you right now and I asked you, where do you want to be in 5 years from today? What would you say you would be doing, accomplishing? What kind of impact would you have? What would your passions be?
Well, I will definitely be doing photography. That's always going to be part of my hands. Where will I be? I couldn't tell you because, again, it's one of those things where as you get older, things change, whether it's your dynamic of belonging. Did I do everything I need to do in New York? Do I need to be out of New York? Do I need to be out of the country? Where's this country going? Like, all those are questions that are happening right now in my mind. So I couldn't tell you for sure. I looked at houses in Florida. I looked in houses in Colombia. Remember, I'm married, so it's a joint effort. What we want to do together. And marriage is a point of give and take or sharing thoughts on what we should do. But the world is a little achy right now. It's a little hurting. So we couldn't exactly plan for 5 years in advance because tomorrow is not promised. So I'm that person that thinks maybe a year and a half in advance. 5 years is more my husband. He's the one that is the thinker. He plans 10 years in advance. I can't do that. I can't do that. But who knows where I am? It's one of those things where I know I'm still going to be helping people. I know I'm going to be that ear for some people. It's funny. There's an adage that says we're more than just realtors. When we're selling houses, we're spending time with people. And that's a moment. That's a moment to connect. That's a moment to share thoughts. That's a moment to heal. And people would come in. I would say last year there was about 7 individuals that came in, different people who had relationship problems, and they just needed the dump. Like, here, take this. Right. I can't have it anymore. I'm a stranger to them. But they dumped, they walked, and they were comfortable. Right. I had another gentleman who came in and he was just, I need to sell my house. I got to go. I'm like, what? Your mortgage is nothing. Where are you going? He's like, I can't. And then he finally released that he lost a son 6 months ago, and then he just lost another son. Wow. 2 sons within half a year. So he couldn't think of anything. He's just going to go. Flight.
Overwhelmed.
Run. Overwhelmed. And while he dumped on me, I couldn't find him again. Never answered the call. I'm like, ugh. But those are things that, as an empath, you take. You go home, take a nice hot shower, turn on the music, and just let it go, because you can't carry it, because you're going to make yourself sick.
Correct. So speaking of that specifically, how do you avoid being burned out from all the work that you do, all the people that you help, all the energy that you give out, right? And all the empathy that you wind up feeling for others? How do you avoid being overwhelmed? Who are your outlets? Who are your support? What agencies, groups, who do you go to make sure that you're not ever burned out?
So Ben & Jerry's. No, actually,
I love me some ice cream.
Right. Ice cream is so comforting.
Yes.
But it's one of those things where I always find comfort in friends.
Right.
So whether it's my best friend, we watch RuPaul Drag Race together and just laugh. Right. Or we get together somewhere and eat something. It's the friends that is your community. Right. They're there.
Excellent.
To be able to listen and maybe contribute a thought, right? What you do with it, that's on you. They could tell you this, that, the third, but they give you the recipe. It's your decision to bake it and make it what it needs to be. But between friends, your significant other, right? That moment when you're both together, ready to go to sleep, and you just so happen to turn on TikTok and watch a funny video and laugh. Laughter is so good.
Yes.
So good.
Yep.
Watch a funny video. Make a funny video. Step out the box. It's just so, like you could release so much through comedy. And interesting, in Colombia, comedy is huge. They have so many comedians. So we watch a lot of videos from Colombia.
I'm going to start checking that out.
So funny. Yeah. So funny.
I just got back from my Colombian trip. I took a motorcycle trip from Medellin all the way to Cartagena, and it was extraordinary. Love the culture, love the indigenous culture, the African culture, the music, the people, the mountains, la zona cafetera,
the food.
The food, right?
Food is amazing. Everything. Yes. As a kid, you don't have money. We're not going anywhere. We're traveling. We were going on vacation. One trip to Disney. That's all we got as a kid. And the rest was Brooklyn. Either Coney Island or Manhattan Beach with the ceviche and a big old pot. And that's how we make it. Yeah. So now as an adult, I started being able to release a little bit. Let's travel. Right. So, and that's another thing that's a good therapy to some people. I say, listen, if you could take a trip, and it doesn't have to be expensive. Doesn't have to be expensive. Take a trip.
Right.
Learn something else from somebody else.
Sure.
I've been to Cuba, Brazil, Puerto Rico, Colombia, Santo Domingo, Paris, Amsterdam. So all these places, you see how other people live. Like, oh, this is how they do it. This is how they cope. This is how they do stuff. So you get ideas, and it gives you topic of discussion when talking to people, sustenance. And people listen to you like, wow, he's well-traveled. This is great. So take a trip.
That's awesome. I love it. You and I have a lot in common. I love comedy. I love music. Music is therapeutic for me. The beach, obviously, is therapeutic, and travel is so important, right?
And please be in touch with your emotional side.
Right.
Some people don't have that way of releasing. Crying is great.
Right.
Like, it's such a release.
Yeah.
There's sometimes I'm at a club and the DJ happens to play a house track.
Yeah.
It's a house track, for peak's sake.
Right.
And I'm in the corner crying. I'm like,
Right.
this is good.
Right.
Music is like church.
Yeah.
For me, it's like healing.
Yes.
It is healing. And I got to tell you, this community of freestyle music that I listen to, so many, when I was growing up, it was like, I got to see these people.
Yeah.
I fell in love with freestyle because my brother was older. He used to leave that music playing at night, recording, so that he could have a mixtape in the morning. And I would be stuck there because we shared a room.
Right.
So now, all those freestyle artists that I listen to, I'm friends with most of them. I take pictures for most of them. And it's fun. And I've been on cruises with them. And it's just like, wow, full circle. Like, this is what my life has become. I dreamed of being with them, and now I'm partying with them. And sometimes there's some songs that just put me through it. There was a moment on the cruise where I think it was Brenda K. Starr singing a song. Oh, even Judy. Judy is a big one for me. Judy Torres.
Of course.
I tell you, I have pictures with her since a long time.
Right.
And she sang a song on the cruise. I'm sitting there like bawling. I don't care. There's thousands of people around me. I could care less. This is my moment.
Right.
This is my little moment. I'm going to enjoy it.
Good for you.
But you have to be in touch with that little piece of love for yourself and understand that it's okay to cry. Cry. Let it go. Let it go.
Right.
People, it's what it is.
The love that you have for yourself, the self-confidence, the self-esteem, the ability to just be who you are and celebrate that is something that I admire so much and I appreciate. And you bring, joy and laughter to my life. Whenever we talk, we always bond and we connect. And I appreciate that about you. So if you were to give some closing remarks to our viewers of this podcast here today, whether you're talking to young LGBTQ, plus youth, or you're talking to the general population, right? What words of wisdom would you give them about your journey so far and how to, be happy and successful?
So just remember the people who came before you that allow you to be who you are today, right? There's footprints, while they may be faded, but there are footprints there of people who did big things so that we could have what we have today. Sometimes we lose track of that. And that little humble pie, some people need a big slice, right? Because there's some people out right now that I'm like, you got to remember, it's just not you today. Right. And and again, teachers are very important in kids' lives. I've had several teachers that have impacted me. And one told me, hey, listen, because I hated history. Oh, I can't stand Western Civ. But all that stuff, history, he's like, Ricardo, listen to me. We learn history so we don't repeat what went wrong. I'm like, whoa, that blew my mind. To this day, still blows my mind. To this day. I'm like, this is great. Because, yeah, exactly. Because of the movie Harvey Milk.
Yes.
That was a great piece of history.
Correct.
We're watching that unfold, and now we're watching it erase.
Right.
So,
well, they just removed his name from the naval ship, right? Ridiculous. Really?
On Pride Month.
Are you kidding me? Like, that's going to erase his legacy and the legacy of the community? That's absurd.
I can't see it, so therefore it doesn't exist.
Right.
But meanwhile, you're in a bathroom stall.
Right.
Tapping your foot, trying to find somebody. Don't tell me that. Don't come for me if I don't ask for you. That's it. God, it's so crazy, this world right now.
Right.
But again, guidance, find your faith, whether it's religion, whether it's if you meditate, or if, like, we listen to a lot of Zen music on Alexa. Alexa plays Zen music. Like, it keeps you grounded.
Sure.
But it's that thing. You just got to find that thing that works for you.
Right.
As long as it's a healthy habit, make it work.
Well, I'll tell you Ricardo, you work for us. You work for me. You work for our community. You do amazing things. I'm so proud of you, and
Thank you.
tell you that from my heart, man. When I think of you, when I see your name pop up on my phone, you bring a smile to my day and to my life. And you do that for so many in our community in so many different ways. Your energy is pure, and like you said earlier, light attracts light, and that's a beautiful thing. Continue doing what you're doing. We here at the Champion Circle, and me personally, are here. We have your back. We consider you part of our chosen family. You are now part of the Champion Circle, and you are a true champion, not because we say so, but because that's how you live. So congratulations on everything you're doing, everything you will accomplish in the future. Please come back and visit us again when you have new things going on that you want to promote, and understand that we are always here to support you.
Thank you so much for having me. This is spectacular. Honestly, you're highlighting the people that could be your neighbor.
Right.
It could be your landscaper. These are
Right.
people that live amongst us. They're heroes amongst us that just don't have that outlet to share their story, but they're there. Have a conversation.
Right. Thank you for that segue, because I'm going to ask my viewers to suggest people that you know. And it doesn't have to be someone with a title. It doesn't have to be an elected official. It doesn't have to be someone who is the president or the leader of a group. It can be someone making a difference in any way, bringing that grain of sand to this amazing beach so that those million grains of sand can create that beautiful beach in Puerto Rico with Bad Bunny playing in the background and some coconut water and some beautiful grounding going on with our ocean and with our earth. So please reach out to me. Let me know if you have folks that should be highlighted, that should be showcased. We would love to tell their story. And we want to share the story of all people, all groups, all backgrounds. Doesn't matter where they come from, as long as it is a positive journey, as long as it is inspirational. So on behalf of Liga de Justicia Foundation, many thanks to Liga de Justicia Abogados. We here at the Champion Circle, we thank Conexcion Latina and the entire team, the post and pre-production team, for making this particular podcast a very successful podcast, and one that we're very proud of. We ask you to stay tuned, to like, to share, and to subscribe, and let us know what stories we need to tell, because we want to tell them. God bless. Stay blessed.